Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Can you hear me? Please confirm in the chat box. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, one and all. So what's our plan for today's session? So our plan for today's session is to move on to next tool called as Ansible. We are starting a new tool called as Ansible. So in this session, we'll understand what is configuration management. Example, Ansible. If what is Ansible? Ansible is a configuration management. So let's try to understand what is configuration management tool and why configuration management tools are widely used in the current industry. Okay, so and then we'll also create the infrastructure which is helpful for us to experience how exactly we can use configuration management tools to configure the remote servers. So this is our plan for our today's session. So without any delay, let's get into the technical aspects of configuration management. Okay. It is configuration management is all about process of configuring the remote servers from one point of control. It's process of configuring the remote servers from one point of control. I'll give a simple example before getting into the theoretical concepts of configuration management. The point is, big clients will have huge number of EC2 machines. Big clients will have many number of EC2 machines. So you'll be surprised if you know how many number of EC2 machines used by Netflix. You'll be surprised if you happen to know number of machines used by Netflix. Netflix uses more than 100,000 instances. Clear? Close to 1 lakh, 100,000 instances. So these many number of instances Netflix use. Okay. Probably Netflix is the biggest customer, so they have 100,000. But there are many customers who handle hundreds of instances. Many customers they have 100 instances, 200 instances, 400 instances, 1,000 instances. So hundreds of instances clients can use. There are many clients who use instances in hundreds. Okay, so don't worry about 1,000, assuming a client is having 100 instances. Now, the client requirement is he wants to install some software in all the instances. Are you understanding? Let's say client is having 100 instances. And the client requirement is the client wants to install some particular package in all the 100 instances. Connecting to each and every instance, installing the package to each and every instance manually is a time consuming and requires a lot of manpower. Do you agree? Do you agree? This should be a very big team who will be continuously handling connecting to these machines and installing the required packages. So which takes a lot of time, as well as not just time consuming process, it needs a lot of manpower. You need a lot of resources to the more the number of instances, managing the instances will be very, very challenging task. Here comes the need for configuration management tools. So configuration management becomes handy when there are more number of instances. Obviously, I see, as I told you, many clients are having hundreds of instances on AWS. So they have to depend on configuration management so that they can configure the remote servers. Remote servers are nothing but technically EC2 machines from one point of control. So this makes them very comfortable and easy. Clear about this? So the advantages of configuration management tools. The advantages of configuration management tools. Let's try to understand the advantages. The first advantage is provisioning of servers. Provisioning is nothing but performing installations, making the servers ready as per the requirements. Applications that are installed on the server can be done very quickly from one centralized location. Okay, clear. That's called provisioning. Provisioning is nothing but installing the required software in the server and make that server readily usable as per the client requirements. That's called provisioning activity. So that can be done one centralized location. Everything can be done by using one centralized location. That's the first advantage, provisioning the servers. The next advantage is idempotent. What do you mean by idempotent? Let's try to understand the concept of idempotent. Configuration management tools are used to bring the server to a particular state called as desired state. Okay, so client wants to get all the servers to a particular state called as desired state. If the server is already in the desired state, if a particular server is already in the desired state, the configuration management tool will not reconfigure the server. If a particular one machine is already reached the desired state, that does not perform reconfiguration. Let's try to understand this particular meaning of the term idempotent. Server 1, server 2, server 3. Let's say client is maintaining 3 servers. That's not what 4 EC2 machines. Okay. So we will be configuring all these machines. We will be configuring all these machines. There can be 4 machines or 400 machines. That's not a problem. Number is not at all a problem. We can configure n number of machines from a centralized location. From a centralized location, this machine from which, from the centralized location from which we will configure all the servers is called as controller machine. It is named as controller because it is controlling rest of all the infrastructure. That centralized location which is used for controlling rest of all the machines is called as a controller machine. Now the client requirement is client wants to install 4 softwares. The client wants to install 4 softwares in each and every machine. All the machines should have how many packages? Let's say how many softwares? 4 softwares needs to be installed. But the status of each and every machine is not the same. The state of each of every machine is not the same. For example, in first machine, already 1 software is installed. In second machine, 2 softwares are installed. In third machine, already 3 softwares are already installed. Fourth machine, all the 4 softwares are already installed. That means 4 machine already it has achieved the desired state. Client wants every machine to be in every machine should have 4 softwares. Frankly speaking, the 4th machine is already having 4 softwares. That means 4th machine has already achieved the desired state. Now this configuration management tools uses a feature called idempotent. That means controller is very intelligent. It understands, it connects to the first machine, understand that in the first machine already 1 software is ready. So that 1 software will not reconfigure. It will just install the remaining machines, remaining softwares, and brings it in desired state. In the second server, it only installs 2 softwares and brings it into desired state. In third server, it only installs 1 software and gets into desired state. In fourth machine, it does not reconfigure at all. It's already have reached in the result. So it does not perform a repetitive task. It's intelligent. It understands the current status of the instances, and it only performs additional tasks which helps the instance to reach to the desired state. So this job is done by the controller machine. This job is done by the controller machine. Now look at the theory. The configuration management tools are used to bring a server to a particular state called as desired state. If a server is already in the desired state, example, server 4 is already in the desired state. So what it does, the configuration management tool, it does not do a donkey work of doing it again and again. It is very intelligent. It does not reconfigure because it identifies that the particular server is already in the desired state. Okay, so that's very, very interesting. So next point, what you have to know is that configuration management tools cannot be used for installing operating system. Okay, if there are 100 servers, you cannot use configuration management tools to install operating system, though that's not possible. Configuration management tools helps you to install softwares or configure the existing configure the softwares on top of operating system. You cannot handle operating system layer. Okay, you cannot install operating system from the scratch. It only helps you to install or manage applications on top of OS. You cannot use configuration management tool to install OS. Got it? Examples of configuration management tools are Ansible, Chef, Puppet, Salt. These are all examples of configuration management tools, out of which the widely used configuration management tool in the industry is Ansible. The widely used configuration management tool is Ansible. Okay, so let's get into the configuration management tool called Ansible. So Ansible is an open source. In fact, all the DevOps tools are open source tools. It's an open source configuration management tools created by Python. So Ansible is a tool built using Python technology. It is built using Python technology. The main machine which is in which Ansible is installed is called as controller machine. The main machine in which Ansible is installed, we will be installing in one machine as additional machine, and that is the main machine. That's we install Ansible on that machine. So that machine is called as a controller machine. And the remote servers which Ansible configures are called as managed nodes. In other words, these are called as nodes. Nodes are nothing but the machines which we configure using the controller. Clients may have 10 nodes, client may have 100 nodes, client may have 1000 nodes. N number of nodes can be configured by using the controller machine. Got it? Yes. Next. Yes, Vasant.
Like Sunil, in our office, our laptops are patched using Dell case. Is that way with the Ansible?
Something to that is done by that their own Dell product, Vasant. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that can be handy if an organization is having 100 laptops, they want to do it quickly. So yeah, they use
Mhm.
it, isn't it, Vasant? This is
Yeah.
specific to cloud platform, something similar to it. Okay. This
Okay.
is more powerful. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So what you can relate it is right. What you have related is right. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Wakar.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah.
Sir, is there any difference between default overlay network and customized overlay network? Like
Difference between
overlay network, default one is default
overlay network.
and customized that way.
No, there is no difference. Okay.
No
If
difference.
you want your own series of IP addresses to be used over the distributed environment, you have your own. You want your own series, Wakar. In that case, you go for customized network.
Okay,
Okay.
like in Breeze, in default Breeze, there is no DNS service.
Exactly. You are right. Okay. Okay. Next. So this Ansible is developed using Python technology. The special machine, the main machine in which we install Ansible is called as a controller machine. The remote machines which we configure are called as nodes. Next. Ansible uses agentless policy. What does that mean? So generally, there will be client server software, right? So you need to install server machine in the Ansible server in the control machine, and we need to install Ansible clients in the node machine. So it's nothing like that. You don't need to install any small thin client or something like that in nodes. Nothing to be installed on the nodes. We should install Ansible on only one machine that is called as a main machine. That's called as a controller machine. That's it. You may have 10 nodes or you have 100 nodes. We will not install Ansible on the nodes. Just install Ansible in one special machine that's called as a controller machine. You don't need to install some software related to Ansible in the nodes, not at all required. That's why there is no agent. That's why it is called as an agentless policy. Ansible uses agentless policy to configure the remote servers. That is, Ansible is installed only in one machine. We don't require any client-side software or any small software to be installed in remote servers are not at all required. And in such case, how does Ansible performs configurations? In such case, how exactly Ansible performs configuration? Ansible performs configuration using passwordless SSH. All right, using passwordless SSH. So you have to establish passwordless communication between the controller to the nodes so that Ansible can seamlessly communicate to that particular nodes and perform configurations. Let's experience how exactly. Ansible can be installed. Okay, and how exactly Ansible can communicate to the nodes, and then how can it performs configurations. Let's experience the environment. We'll be creating 4 machines. We'll be creating 3 nodes, node 1, node 2, node 3. We'll be creating 3 nodes and we'll be creating 1 control machine. So we'll be creating 3 machines, 4 machines, 1 controller machine and 3 nodes. So total we'll be creating 4 machines. Okay. So let's do that. So first let's create 4 machines in our AWS cloud. So launch instances. I want to go with Ubuntu instances, Ubuntu 18. One instance, sorry, one ET2 micro. How many number of emissions? 4 emissions. Next, next, next. I don't want any restrictions. I go with all traffic sources anyways. Review and launch, click on launch, create a new key pair. Let's say I'm naming it as any name. So I'm writing Ansible with today's date, 9. Download the key pair in my desktop, in my PPK. I download the key pair, launch instances, view instances. So we have created 4 machines. Let's wait for the 4 machines to come into running state. So it's not required. Ubuntu comes with Python 3, and so it is not required. Yes. 4 machines are running. First machine, I may name it as controller. Server 1, 2, 3. So we have created infrastructure. We have created one controller. We have created server 1, server 2, server 3. I want to start with server 1 first. Okay. I'm not connecting to controller. First, I'm connecting to server 1. Click on connect. Get the SSH command, open the terminal, connect to this particular server 1. So you have to establish passwordless connections first. Connected. I have connected to server 1. So what I'll do, first I define the password for the Ubuntu user. Because passwordless connection to establish, we need to define the password for the Ubuntu user. So I am defining the password for the Ubuntu user. And then I hope you remember many times we have done passwordless SSH connections, isn't it? Secure shell daemon configuration file. Password authentication by default will be no. Password authentication by default will be no. Change to yes. Escape : WQ to save and quit. Restart the SSH service. Restart the SSH service. Okay, so I have done configuring first machine. So let me complete for the second one. Connected to second machine, I do the same steps, define the password for the Ubuntu user. Go to secure shell daemon configuration file. By default, password authentication will be no. Change to yes. Restart the SSH service. Exit. I do it for server 3. restart the SSH service. Okay. So we are done. Shell configurations, we have done it in all the 3 machines. Next, connect to the actual machine, controller machine. Okay. It's connected to control machine. So in the controller machine, do you remember we have to generate the keys? We have to generate the keys and copy the keys to server 1, server 2, server 3, so that passwordless communication happens. Okay, so let's do that. So first, let's generate the keys. SSH-keygen is a command which is used to generate the keys. Keys are generated and you need to copy the keys to server 1, server 2, server 3. Okay, so take the private IP address of server 1. Take the private IP address of server 2. Take the private IP address of server 3. As the keys are now generated, I copy the keys to the 3 nodes. Okay. Copying the keys to the first node, it will ask for the password for the 1, 2. Define the password which you are given for the 1 user. Similarly, all this we know it. So we have generated the keys, now copied the keys to the current server 1, server 2, and server 3. Okay. Fine. Now the actual software, we need to install controller. These are the commands to install controller, pretty simple. You have to point out to this particular package. You have to install this particular package, done. And then you need to add Ansible. You need to run this command. You need to add the repository. Just press enter. One more time, update the repository. And install -y Ansible. So we are successfully installing Ansible. Any questions, Wakar?
Sir,
Any questions?
I have a doubt. Like we have multiple controllers, right?
We will multiple?
Controllers.
No, we will not have one controllers. We will have only one controller only. Okay.
Okay. Sir.
Okay. Okay. Done. So Ansible is installed. To verify whether Ansible is successfully installed or not, Ansible -- version is the command to check whether Ansible is installed or not. Okay. Yes, you can say Ansible 2.9.24 is installed. Fine. Now, how does the controller machine knows? How does the controller machine knows that it should configure 3 nodes? That it should configure server 1, server 2, server 3. How does controller machine knows? It doesn't know. You need to clearly specify that, my dear controller, you have to configure this particular first server, this second server, and third server. You have to manually mention that. You have to mention the machines which you want to get configured in the controller machine. So that is called as an inventory file. So what do you mean by inventory file? Inventory file, you can see generally inventory is nothing but stock. For the controller, inventory file is nothing but a file which will have the IP addresses of the nodes. If you want to configure 10 machines, your inventory file should have 10 IP addresses. If you want to configure 100 machines, your inventory file should have 100 IP addresses. You have to define that. Okay, you have to define those IP addresses in the specific file. That file is called as an inventory file. Yes, Balaji.
Hi, Sunil. I have doubt. Like we have only one controller. If this controller goes down,
Okay.
then who will control these servers?
If it is no, first point. If it is going down, it's not a big problem because your servers are not it's not your any application is not hosted anything in the controller. It's for internal use. Agree?
Okay. Yeah.
Balaji. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a critical problem. Okay, you will not get any issues or business data. It's not a production environment if the controller is down. Okay, so that's not a problem. You can handle it. First of all, the machines will not go down. You know it because that's a
Yeah.
concept of cloud. But in case it goes down, that's okay. Within few minutes, we can restart the controller again. It starts working it. Okay, so that's
Okay.
not a big issue because it is used for internal purpose. No, we are not doing it for the business requirements or something like that. Got it, Balaji?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Shika Srivatsava.
Yes, hi Sunil, how are you?
Yep, doing well. Shika, how are you doing?
I'm also good.
Yes.
Sunil, my question is that, like as you said, in inventory file, we have to copy the IP address, like
We
node
have to
and
mention
stuff.
the IP addresses.
Yeah, we have to mention the IP addresses. So if there will be 100, like more than 100 nodes, so we
Nodes.
have like IP addresses. So
Yes.
in inventory file, we are mentioning them manually, or
Manually. It's a one-time process, Shika. So you have to do that hard work of mentioning the IP addresses. That's not a big deal. Okay. It's a one-time process because got it, Srivas?
Yeah,
Or
got it.
what you can do using editor, you can just copy the files. It's a one-time process. Once that have the inventory file is ready, then it becomes very comfortable. Okay, Shika? Okay.
So every time when the new node is created, we have to mention the
Add
IP
that new
address
IP addresses in the inventory
in
file.
the inventory file.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So Shika, in our case, how many nodes we are planning to configure?
We are planning to configure 3 nodes here.
So we have to mention 3 IP addresses in our inventory file, isn't it?
Yes.
Please
Yes.
look at this. We have to write the IP addresses of the nodes in the inventory file.
Inventory file. Yes.
We generally call it as inventory file as a concept, but the name of the inventory file is nothing but host file. There is a
Okay.
file called, the file name is hosts.
Host.
That
Yeah.
particular file is available in /etc/Ansible. Go to this particular location.
Right.
Look at this. I'm going to /etc/Ansible. And Shika, can you see there's a file called as host
Host.
file?
Yes.
This file is called as inventory file. Okay. So in
Okay,
this host
so-
file,
One question is here. So it is like automatically created, or we are going to create it manually?
when
Like
you
there-
install Ansible, all these files will be default created. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. The default. Create.
Because this directory Ansible is also created automatically when you install Ansible. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Got it. So in that particular directory, there's a host file. This host file we should mention the 3 IP addresses. We already have 3 IP addresses with us, isn't it? So these are the 3 IP addresses. So what I am doing using VI editor, I am opening the host file.
Yes.
I'm opening the host file and then I go to insert mode. And here I should mention the IP address of the node 1. IP address of node 2.
And IP address is node 3.
Yes. So you can visualize the inventory file generally in the enterprise level. It's a very big inventory file, but you have to do it. There's no other option. So escape:\WQ to save and quit. So I have mentioned now IP addresses. Now Ansible can understand. Ansible will understand. Okay, I should configure these 3 nodes. Okay. Now in Linux, we have a command, Shika. We have a
Yes.
command called ls-la. Isn't it?
To
It
show
will
that.
show
Yes,
you
yes.
list of all the files, long
All
list.
the time. Yes.
-L. That means we can see the file permissions, date and time, the file size, all this information of normal files as well as hidden files. Isn't it? Are you getting list of all the files? Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So this particular ls-la is a Linux command which is listing out all the files of this particular controller machine. Okay.
Yes.
Now the same command ls-la, the same command I'm writing ls-l in single quotes. Okay. And then I'm writing Ansible all. Every Ansible command starts with the keyword Ansible.
Ansible.
Shika,
As,
every Ansible
as like
command,
Docker. As
yes,
like Docker. Like
similar to
every
Docker.
Docker.
Every
Similar to
Ansible
Docker.
command starts with the keyword Ansible. All refers to I want to run the command in all the machines in the no and inventory file. All refers to I want to run this particular command in all the machines mentioned in the inventory file. That means in the inventory file we have mentioned 3 IP addresses. That means this particular command will execute on 3 nodes.
Okay, okay. My question is that we have mentioned the three IP addresses, but if as you are saying that host file will be the common for all the like users, or it is only
This
for
is
only
not specific to user. User does not come into picture.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay, okay, I got it.
Okay, okay. So Ansible all, that means you are clearly mentioning that I want to run this command in all the nodes. A stands for arguments. In the arguments, whatever you have to mention the command, whichever you want to run it, and we should make sure as per syntax, we should mention it in single quotes. So when you run this command, can you guess the output of this command, Shika? Can you guess the output of this command?
IP addresses of all the like nodes, or like with details.
ls-la will show you list of all the files in node 1, list of all the files in node 2, and list of all the files in node 3. Look at the output. Yes, look at the output of this.
Okay.
This is the command which we have executed. Am I right, Shika?
Yes.
This is the result of IP address 1, that is machine 1. This is the result of
IP address
machine 2. And are you getting the result of IP address 3 also?
Yes.
Agree at it? That means you are not connected to any node. You are now connected to controller machine. Connecting to the controller machine, sitting in a one centralized location, you are able to get the information of about all the files.
Yes.
Got it? That's the power of Ansible. You are not connecting to individual machine, sitting in one centralized location. Now you're in a position to display all the files or retrieve all the files. That's the power of Ansible. So you don't need to connect to any individual controller machine. No, whatever we will be doing, it will be connecting to one centralized machine that is called as a controller. From the controller, you can run the commands and then you can configure the machines at a single shot, which makes it very, very comfortable. Clear, Shika?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Anuj.
Good evening, Sunil.
Yep.
So, Sunil, you are correct, and this example is perfectly understood. If you create one more box here, right adjacent to this controller, and
no, 1 minute. You're talking about fourth node.
No, fourth node. Nahi. I want to create one more controller and make it a controller and assign.
First point. Why do you need a second controller?
For redundancy.
Why do you call objective behind Ansible is performing configurations? Agree?
Right.
Okay. Now tell me what is the need for creating a second controller? There's no need.
Ideally no need, but is it possible that we have two controllers?
You can do that. You create one more controller, install Ansible in it. Okay. That will also have an inventory file, include all these machines. So you can have one more controller. Now it's up to you whether you want to connect to this controller or read controller. What you can do is the same. Okay.
Okay.
Technically speaking, you have to establish passwordless communication between the second controller to 3 nodes. Now it's up to you whether you want to go for controller 1 and controller 2. Got it?
Correct.
Did you understand?
Correct.
Okay. So that's technically possible. Okay. But there is no meaning for it. There is no need for it. Not meaning. There is no need for it. Okay. So you are connecting to one centralized location that is nothing but called as a controller machine. And from the controller machine, you are now communicating to Rest of all the nodes, okay,
Right.
sitting,
Right.
and you have seen how exactly ls-la command working on one, but we have connected to controller machine, but still you're getting the report from the server 1, server 2, server 3, isn't it? That's the
Right.
beauty of Ansible.
Ansible.
Okay, so this is just a beginning. There are a lot of things to be done using Ansible. We'll see day by day. Maheshwara.
Sunil, I have a doubt actually. First, what you did is like
Yes, Maheshwara.
we created 3 servers, the three individual nodes, am I right? And yeah, 3 individual servers, and then you have created some sudo password Ubuntu. You created one password, then named the password.
Yes, I have defined passwordless connections.
Okay.
All these steps are I have defined. I'm sorry. I have defined the password. I have defined the password for the Ubuntu user, and I have generated the keys, and I have copied the keys to the nodes. That's all process of establishing passwordless communication between the controller to nodes.
Nodes,
Okay.
okay. So
Once that is
SSL
done, and we have installed one software called Ansible, and then Ansible controller should know what it should configure. That IP addresses we have mentioned in the
Yeah,
input
that one
line. That's all
command you were
installed.
saying, ls-la actually. Can you
Yes,
show? Can you
okay.
go to that prompt actually?
Yes.
So Ansible all -a. -a is an argument, am I right?
Arguments. Argument is nothing but the command which you want to run.
So it will list. So you have kept that IP addresses in the host file, correct? In the
Right.
Ansible
You're
host
right.
file.
You're right.
So Ansible will be having its own host name, am I right? Its own host name. On that you added 3 host names.
No. That host file is different. Okay. This host file is specially in the directory Ansible directory. Okay. You can
So
see.
that is
Okay.
different.
That's a
This is
different host file. That's a different host file. Okay. So this is the host file that is present inside the Ansible directory. That's a different host file. Okay.
So okay, there will be another host file which is for Ansible.
Changing the
itself.
host name of that particular machine. Okay.
Okay.
So that is a different host file.
And
Okay.
ls-la, it will it will list all the services from all the 3 nodes actually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Maheshwara. In Linux, we have a free command. Okay. What this free command will do? It will show the memory information. How much is the total RAM? How much is the free RAM? How much is the buffer and all this? Look at this.
Yes.
The total memory and what is the used memory? How much RAM is free? How much? This is all information in the. You're getting the memory information by using the free command. Now I want to know the memory information of all the 3 nodes. Got it?
Okay.
I want the memory information of all the 3 nodes. Can I do it? Very simple. Okay. The command is, every command starts with the Ansible all -a in single quotes. Whatever the command you want to do it, you want to run it, Maheshwara. Okay. So sitting in one centralized location, you are getting the report of your infrastructure. Okay, in this particular machine, this is the total memory. This is the free memory.
I want another command to be executed, Sunil. Can we check command? It? Ansible all -a set.
Sorry.
Set ACT.
Set?
No, not colon. Yeah, that's it.
So set is a command in Linux?
Yes.
Okay, so what it does, it shows.
It shows all the whatever it is listed. The set actually it will display actually.
Okay.
Environment variables kind of thing.
Okay, so if you want to get this information from all the nodes, run it.
No such file or directory. Okay. But if you put set here, can you put set here actually without in that? No.
Sorry?
It's not coming, am I? It's not coming, am I right?
No, I'm not sure why it is not coming. So we have to use a special command called command module. You have to wait. Okay. So we have some modules for advanced commands. Okay. So you have to wait for that. So first point, you have to understand that sitting in one centralized location, you are able to get the information. This is very beautiful example.
Okay. Can you put set here in the Ansible mode? Is it working? Can we check?
Which mode?
in now in Ansible prompt, can you put set here?
That is already
Yeah.
working. I have tested, right?
Yeah, test. Okay.
That's I already have
Okay.
tested before running it. Okay.
Right.
So the beauty is sitting in one centralized location, you're getting the report of the complete infrastructure. How much memory is there? If there are 100 machines, you're getting the report within no time, isn't it, Maheshwara? That's the
Yeah,
power
yeah.
of Ansible. So we have just started that. You can do a lot of things and you can save a lot of time and you can save the resources for your client if you start
So
with the client
what
using.
another person was asking doubt is like if there is thousands, hundreds, 200 submission, so 200
200?
IP manually we
Yes,
have to put that in the host file, correct?
you're right. Okay,
Okay.
so that's a one-time process. There is no other solution.
Right.
Okay. Yes, Shika.
Yes, Sunil.
Yes, your question. Yeah, I can see your hand raised.
No.
Okay.
It was for that time only.
Okay. Please drop your hand.
Okay, sure.
Manikanta Swami. You are allowed to unmute Manikanta. I can see your hand raised.
Sir,
Yes, Wakar.
sir, suppose I have a 5 IP listed in my host file.
5?
Okay, 5 IPs. I mean,
Okay,
5.
5 IP addresses are there in your inventory file.
So I want to run a particular command on particular servers.
You want to run?
A command, I want to download a package in particular.
Okay, you want to
server.
install something on
Particular server.
not all the 5 missions. You want to
Not
do it
all
on 1
5.
mission or 2, 3 missions. Okay.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Here.
You can do that. So that's called grouping of inventory file. You have to wait. Okay.
Okay, at the place of all, we have to mention the
Yes.
private IP, right?
Yes. We will be seeing it soon. Okay. So sometimes the client do not want all the 100 missions to be configured. They want some specific missions to be configured, isn't it? So what we can do, we can create multiple inventory files and then you can mention those IP addresses in the alternative inventory file and then you can run it on a new inventory file. We'll be seeing it soon. Okay, Makar.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Manikanta. You are allowed to unmute. Manikanta Swami.
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
It's Mike Swami. So my question is, when we can run the Ansible scripts like install all servers.
You're
to
talking
the
about the
data center.
playbooks, right?
Yeah,
You're
yes.
talking about the playbooks. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see it. We have started just commands, right? After
Yeah.
commands, we'll get into the advanced concept that is playbooks. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is what I have planned for today's session. So please, you also create notes and then create one controller machine, establish passwordless connection, experience this couple of Ansible commands, which making us very comfortable dealing with Ansible. So more concepts of Ansible, we'll discuss it in the next session. Tomorrow, there is no session because of the festival in here. So there is no session tomorrow and we will not have sessions on Saturday and Sunday as well. So next session is on Monday, where we'll continue learning our Ansible. Okay. Until then, have a nice time. Thank you and bye everybody. Thank you very much.